Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if we can find our seats, silence our cell phones. Technical difficulties are solved. Thank you, Bernadette, for all your help, and Stan, the man. If we can just close the back door and the side doors when you get a moment so we can have everyone's full attention. Okay, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Wednesday, the 9th day of November in the year 2022. This is a regular meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 6 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 6:08 p.m. May I have a roll call for the commencement of this meeting? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Here.
Councilperson Saleh.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon.
Here.
Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera will not be with us. Unfortunately, he had a death in the family. And Council President Waterman.
Here.
We have 9 council members in attendance at 6:08 p.m. May we kindly rise for a moment of silence, please. I would like to dedicate this moment of silence to Councilman Rivera's family member, Francisco Arturo Rodriguez, passed away at the young age of 51. God rest his soul, and prayers for the Rivera family. Salute the flag. Thank you very much. On behalf of Council President Waterman, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall. The annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2022, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, October 28th, 2021. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, November 4th, 2022 at 4 p.m. to the Municipal Council, Mayor, Business Administrator, Corporation Council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Please be advised that we are now live streaming all City Council caucuses and meetings through Microsoft Teams. The links are located on the city's website and also on the city agenda. Council agenda, excuse me. So like I said, Councilperson Rivera will not be present. On to our first reading ordinances. If you would allow me to read them into the record. First item is 3.1, City Ordinance 22-095, is an ordinance of the City of Jersey City and the County of Hudson, New Jersey, providing for a special emergency appropriation of $10 million, providing for the payment of contractually required severance liabilities resulting from the layoff or retirement of employees. Item 3.2, City Ordinance 22-096, is an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 5, Office of the City Clerk of the Municipal Code to restructure the Office of the City Clerk. Item 3.3, City Ordinance 22-097, is an ordinance authorizing the execution of a deed easement between PH Urban Renewal LLC, the Planning Board of the City of Jersey City, and the City of Jersey City, affecting Block 13102, Lot 1.03, also known as Christopher Columbus Drive. Item 3.4, City Ordinance 22-098, is an ordinance amending Chapter 345, Article 433, Section 33, fees for Historic Preservation Commission applications. And the last first reading ordinance, item 3.5, City Ordinance 22-099, is a bond ordinance providing for the construction, reconstruction, rehabilitation, improvement and repair of various public buildings in the city of Jersey City and the county of Hudson, state of New Jersey, appropriating $12 million therefore and authorizing the issuance of $11,428,000 bonds or notes to the city to finance part of the cost therefore. Council members are going to be taking a vote on items 3.1 through 3.5. Again, that's items 3.1 through 3.5. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Baggiano.
John, 3.5, that 12 million, is that for the new precinct they want to build on 16th Street?
So we're just asking to
I
introduce
think that should be pulled. I thought we were going to pull that, John, until we discussed it.
Can
For
it,
the precinct at 16th Street.
Yeah, Councilman, we asked if we introduce it, and we won't entertain a second reading until we have further conversation with Councilman and yourself and JCRA. We did look at the redevelopment agreement, and it does state that it has to be a white box. I know the councilman has some more information, but before we proceed with it, we'd like to introduce it. This way, in the event that we do proceed, we'll have all the financial documents ready for the bond issuance.
Shouldn't even be introduced. Putting a precinct on 16th Street, when it's 1.6 miles to get to Grant Street, it's almost 2 miles to get to the end of the East District. And being a former police officer downtown, that is absolutely ridiculous. We fought this about 10 years ago and stopped it. Now they're back putting it. And as I said, the mayor of Hoboken's probably very, very happy we're doing it because it's in the backyard of Hoboken. Sean, no on 3.5, yes on the rest.
Okay. Councilperson Saleh.
aye for introduction.
Councilperson Solomon.
No on 3.1. I think it's important that we budget for these contractual liabilities annually and not with a 5-year bond. Ultimately, these are known costs to a degree, and we shouldn't be asking people in future years to be paying with additional interest. And then on 3.5, I'm going to abstain. I will work with the administration on that moving forward before it comes to the council. And even at a minimum, if we're required to pay for it as the terms of the redevelopers plan and redevelopers agreement, potentially we can amend future plans to make sure the city doesn't have to pay for these or make it more explicit who's paying for these sort of givebacks that come out of redevelopment plans. And then I'm voting yes on 3.3, but I have some minor changes to propose to the administration just on the contractual language of 3.3. So no on 3.1, abstain on 3.5, and yes on 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4.
Got it. Thank you. Councilperson Gilmore.
I'm gonna vote aye for introduction, but I think we need to iron out the nuance with 3.5. I know this is something that's been to the council before, and I guess it's been a work in progress. So we'd just like to get more intel on the exact deal and how it's going to play out and why the money is coming from us and how does that play out. So we'll have more dialogue with that, but I'll vote aye for introduction.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye for introduction.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye for introduction.
If you can just allow me to recap. Item 3.1 is introduced 7-1 with Councilperson Solomon saying no, voting no. Item 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4 are introduced 8-0 with with Councilperson Rivera absent. Item 3.5 is introduced 6-1-1 with Councilmember Baggiano voting no and Councilmember Solomon abstaining and Councilperson Rivera absent. And that will conclude our first reading ordinances. So all ordinances are introduced. On to our second reading ordinances. Our first, second reading ordinances, item 4.1, City Ordinance 22-090, an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City to adopt the 6th Street Embankment Redevelopment Plan. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion was made by Council President Waterman to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-090, and a second was made by Councilperson Baggiano. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-090, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-090. Council members, I received an email from Marilee Clark of City Planning, and she discussed this second reading ordinance with the Law Department, and it's recommended that we table this ordinance after the close of the public hearing, just to go over the final details on the settlement. So may I have a motion to table City Ordinance 22-090 after the close of the public hearing?
Wait, sorry, can we get,
I didn't get no notice.
Are we on the email?
yeah,
Brought the email up. Just give me 1 second.
my understanding was that the caucus, the planners had talked about making a floor amendment to the preamble language, introduction language to
And I
strengthen
never-
it. Maybe that's what she says they need more time to work out that language, so we would delay this at 2 weeks, which would be fine. I just don't think we've heard any, I don't know if any of the other council members have heard anything.
So she sent an email to myself and BA, and it says, legal counsel has asked that we table second reading of the 6th Street Embankment Redevelopment Plan until the next council meeting. This item is 4.1 on tonight's agenda. There is some language in the editor's note of the plan related to the settlement agreement of the litigation that they want a further time to review and revise to ensure all relevant documents are consistent in the language and the timing.
Legal, could you explain to us?
To the best of our knowledge, it didn't come from us. It's probably from outside counsel that's handling it.
Well, how can that happen and we don't know
Yeah,
anything
well,
about it?
I mean, it would have been nice. She could have
James.
sent us the email too.
Give the BA a second.
Just give us 1 second, council members.
Sorry, I just spoke to the director, Anicia, and she confirmed that outside counsel is looking to review some of the language. So we'll bring it back at the next council meeting for final approval.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a 2-week delay is is a massive issue for us. We just maybe get some clarity from,
Yeah, I'll ask for a memo.
from outside counsel as to why and what the specific issues are.
Yeah, I think it's,
Yeah, we wouldn't want it delayed beyond one meeting.
I agree. I think they're just trying to get through the final steps of the settlement, so maybe it's pursuant to that. So, but I'll have tomorrow, they'll provide that memo.
Okay, council members, so may I have a motion to table City Ordinance 22-090 after the close of the public hearing?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to table City Ordinance 22-090 after the close of the public hearing, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent to table City Ordinance 22-090 after the close of the public hearing. Sorry for any confusion, Okay, on to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.2, City Ordinance 22-091 is an ordinance amending Chapter 254, Property Maintenance, Article 3, Administration, Section 17, Notices and Hearings, establishing a procedure for the abatement of conditions affecting health and safety with rental dwellings. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Motion made by Council President Waterman to close the public hearing
Second.
on City Ordinance 22-091 and is seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-091, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-091. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-091, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
I just want to thank the law department and the municipal prosecutor in working with me in giving the receivership language just a little bit more teeth. Hopefully, we never have to enact this. However, hope is not a plan, and we need all the tools in the toolkit that we have to make sure that these landlords that are bad actors end up doing the right thing. It should not take, back and forth between legal counsel to get to a place where if something is broken and it can be fixed, it should be fixed. With that, I vote aye.
You, Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye. And
Council.
thank you, Councilwoman Prinzary, for your work on this.
Thank you. Councilperson Solomon.
Thank you. Very good ordinance. I vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Excuse me. City Ordinance 22-091 is adopted 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. On to our last second reading ordinance, item 4.3, City Ordinance 22-094 is an ordinance amending Chapter 84 of the Municipal Code of Jersey City to limit the number of cannabis Class 5 retail licenses to be issued. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record. Member Phil, we got to stay on the ordinance, okay?
That is correct.
Okay.
I have limited knowledge on this, and I just want clarity because I was here for the caucus meeting and the information was not very clear to me. My concerns are that there are a lot of brothers who went to jail for illegally selling cannabis. Now that it is legal, the brothers cannot or is not having the wherewithal to do business. My question is, since this is a controlled substance, is there a background check in order to get a license? What is the requirement that is so germane that the brothers cannot, or black people, I should say, cannot get a license legally to sell cannabis? Where will, or in other words, are they properly informed as to the ups and downs in order to get a license? Can I get some clarity on that?
Legal, you want to answer that?
Well, before even answer that,
Phil, one question, let her answer it and then come.
I'm done. My time ran out on me. Okay. Stop the clock.
'Cause I just think that, something is misunderstood here because they can get licensed. So I want them to explain it. When it comes to a cannabis license, if they incarcerated and they come out, can they receive a license? There's nothing discriminatory in that ordinance. They can receive a license. Okay, I answered it. I was telling them to answer it because I wanted them to answer it, but I answered it.
Council President, sometimes there's issues with capital
Right.
and other
That's the issue.
associated issues, but it's not necessarily due to.
Correct. Background.
Okay, so it's not just, okay, there's not background, okay, so it's just the fees to purchase and get the license accepted.
Correct.
Because as you know, you're
Bill.
capping it as being said here, and that if you do 50 and 27 of them are already out, which means that only a small portion would be left. Additionally, in Ward F, as I understood, there are not one black person who have a cannabis license. And of course, as I said, there are hundreds, if not thousands of black men who went to jail illegally. And now they cannot have a license legally, or they do not have a license. So I just need clarity on that.
You can get a license.
Okay, this is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 22-094. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Washington.
Okay, Laverne.
My problem about these licenses, are these people supposed to be selling this stuff in the smoke shops already, or it should be licensed? Because up and down MLK, I witnessed it myself, seeing people going in smoke shops coming out with weed already. Because I was discussing that with Councilman tonight. I didn't know that. I thought it was legal. And I was an ambassador a couple months ago buying some fish, and a little young boy about 14 years old was a smoke shop next door. And the man was teaching back and playing. I personally seen the man hand him weed, and the guy handed the man $10. And so I didn't know till the night, talking to councilmen, that these people was not legal. And they up and down MLK Drive selling weed right now. They're selling it on the junction by the Pizza Hut. They don't, wherever smoke shopping between Gates Avenue and Montgomery and General Square, they selling weed. And you mean to tell me they don't have no license? Ain't nothing nobody told me. Ain't no fabricate. I seen it with my eyes. I seen some young people that I personally know went and brought some coming back smelling like a smoke shop. Mama, it's legal. I don't want to smell it. We need to put a grip and a hand on this right now. Because we don't know what this stuff is doing to the brain of our young people. I don't know where else in this city, in these smoke shops, that's selling this stuff like there is in Ward F and A. It's a disgrace.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 22-094. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion? Second. Oh, somebody coming. Come on.
Just give me 1 second, sir.
Sean, could
Yes.
you just go over what this ordinance is for? It's just to limit the number of businesses.
Right.
That's all we're talking about.
Again, this is an ordinance amending Chapter 84 of the Municipal Code of the City of Jersey City to limit the number of cannabis Class 5 licenses to be issued. Okay, sir, if you can just spell your name before we start.
Lawrence.
You can bring the mic up for you, sir.
Lawrence Sneed, LAWRENCE, SNEED. My question is, why are we limiting it? That's all.
Go ahead. Oh, that's all you want to know, why we limited it?
What's the reason for limiting it? I don't see any reason to limit it.
Okay.
So the administration's asking for the council to consider limiting it due to the number of applications we received for first priority for those applicants, and to have a handle on the market as we see the economics of it. We have provided, I believe it's 21 licenses so far, and we have a commitment to the council that the remaining ones will be prioritized for areas that are not receiving licenses already. And we're willing to work with the community on finding locations in those areas.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a plan to increase the limit ongoing until, or is it just to control the market? Because I just want people to be able to get it when they need it.
This, they can't get it when they need it. So, if we limit it and we find out that it's necessary to increase it, we can increase it. This is just pretty much to get a handle on it because this is a new substance that's coming to the city of Jersey City. That's all. It's like when you get something new, you try to kind of control it to see which way it's going with it. And then if you feel like it's going, in a good direction, then you can open it or spread it out, or you can decrease it. Depends on how it goes, since this is such a new market. That's all. But right now, we only have 21 applicants at this point. That's approved.
Okay, by new, you mean legally new as a substance, right? That's what you mean?
Yes, that's legal.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just give me
Oh, or do I need to wait?
one second. Hey, your name?
Dr. Muslim, M-U-S-L-I-M. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, this is echoing.
S-L-I-M?
Like the religion, M-U-S-L-I-M.
Hmm.
My question
Okay.
regards, how are you going to enforce to make sure that people have actual licenses? Because my neighbor has been selling this years without a license right across the street from the Mahatma Gandhi School. If you remember, I'm also the one, Tanya Parker, blocked my driveway to buy this substance. And then if you go back to your country, where do you think you are? I work for the school, was in the paper, Jersey Journal. This was back in 2018. I've been coming to the city council meetings pretty regularly, asking for help. These hate crimes have been ignored, yet we keep moving forward with taxes. I know I get my tax bill every year like clockwork. If this had been a white woman or a Jewish woman who was attacked, I'm sure there would have been a full hate crime investigation. That wasn't the case. So my question again is, how are they going to be enforced? How are they going to be regulated? Who's going to do anything if people get out of hand smoking this in front of schools? For example, Mahatma Gandhi School, Marion District, Ward C.
Well, at this time, we do have code enforcement that will enforce it, but if they're smoking it in front of your school, you should really call the authorities. You shouldn't allow it. And if they don't help you, then call one of the councils and we'll follow through with it.
There are over 50 police reports about this, including escalation to Hudson County Internal Affairs, including escalation to police, including Councilman Boggiano, whose cell phone number I have directly. When I've called, it's been, well, reported, and the report, they don't do anything.
Who you reported it to?
Everyone I just
Because you're
listed.
talking fast, I can't hear you.
Everyone I just listed, Jersey City Police Department, Hudson
Okay.
County Internal Affairs, Jersey City Internal Affairs, including Councilman Boggiano, including Councilman Lavaro before he was no longer here. Again, this has been going on since I moved here, since 2018. So this is not related to delays because of the pandemic.
Right.
It's not related to anything other than lack of care for the Marion District.
Jade, take her information and let me follow up with, this all I can do. We can't go back and forth here, okay?
Well, that's
Give
the
her your
problem. It's been-
information.
My information has been given. I now have Councilman Boggiano's cell phone number. I've been reporting this since 2018.
Okay. Well, I don't know what you did with Councilman.
With all due respect,
Boggiano.
Councilwoman, I've been in front of you as well, in front of this council.
But not with
meetings.
this issue. I haven't heard it, okay? So there's no need for us to go back and forth. If you want to give her your information, you can give it to her. That's all I can tell you at this time.
Got it. Dr. Muslim, M-U-S-L-I-M. And the clerk actually has my info because I signed up to speak in the public hearing section as well.
Gotcha.
Thank you, okay?
This is still a public hearing on ordinance 22-094. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Follows up, okay. Motion.
Motion made by Council President Waterman,
Second.
seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-094, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece. And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 22-094. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 22-094, Councilperson Ridley.
I think that there's still a lot of questions with this ordinance. I know during caucus, few council members made some valid points. Councilwoman Prinzary had some points of some things we should think about. Councilman Gilmore mentioned a few things. While we can't necessarily tell people where to open their businesses, there were some concerns throughout the council with social equity. This number 55, I don't know if it's the right number or if it's not the right number. I certainly don't think that we should just allow as many cannabis companies as we can get in the city. I think we do need to put a number on it or decide how we can limit it. And we might even need to stop taking them at some point so that we can get a handle on it. So I don't think I said that right, but I don't not think that we need to just let everything keep moving, but I also don't know if 55 is the right number, and I know there are still a lot of concerns. So because of that, I'm going to vote no.
Councilperson Prinzary.
So at caucus, I did raise some concerns about what's going to happen in the year period from when licenses are issued. And I don't want also people to end up in a holding pattern for somebody who has a license that may or may not be getting approval by the state when there is somebody who maybe is further along in their application, but because we're at the 55 cap, they're essentially stuck. This is all new and we are learning as we go. But I still have a few more concerns about this that really haven't been addressed in a way for me to feel comfortable voting yes on this at that time. So I'm going to go ahead and vote no, but I do want to keep having these conversations with Commerce and with the administration to figure out how we can work our way through this in a way that's going to be equitable, but is also going to, protect people who are investing a lot of money, who may be paying rent in the space right now as they're waiting for their conditional approvals, and then they're going to lose that money because they end up being number 56. And I just feel like it's a very serious concern of mine. So for now, I'm going to vote no.
Councilperson Bajano.
My belief is 55 is too many, and I'm going to vote no.
Councilperson Saleh.
I think it's too little. And I'm still going to vote no because of the fact that there haven't been enough cannabis establishments, retail establishments on the south side of the city. I think ultimately, the council people will start to limit it in their own wards and say, hey, we're not going to entertain it. And when it comes before us, we could just vote no. But I don't think we're at the place we need to be in terms of the number of establishments on the south side of the city. So we need to do a better effort in terms of reaching out to anyone interested in creating a class 5 retail cannabis establishment and have them, have an info session so that they could go to the south side and other areas of the city and not just Ward D. Thank you. With that, I vote no.
Councilperson Solomon.
Vote no as well. I just want to have a little bit more work on the ordinance, some of the issues that were raised by some of the colleagues and some ensuring equity. I think ultimately that the number of successful stores, the 55 cap is quite high. And so I think you're going to have a lot of, I'm not sure the market's going to support 55 different dispensaries across the city. So, but with that said, enough questions were raised. Let's work out the details. Let's ensure that there's equity in the ordinance and then come back to the council with a slightly amended version.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Yeah, going to vote no as well for various reasons, multiple, which have been laid out already. And I just will say this for the record, my primary concern is it's about equity. We legalized marijuana to get it right. And with this cap, with so much uncertainty, I think it's just not right to do, especially at this juncture. I'm going to vote no. Well, I do understand that there needs to be some form of control. We do need to get it right. And the young lady from UEZ was here, and she's talking about different type of incubators that can come to fruition to help bring that equity, and that is something I would like to see. So I'll vote no.
Councilperson DeGise.
I vote aye. I think it's the right thing to do to cap. I don't know if 55 is the best number, but I think it sets a standard that we can increase if need be to address some of the inequities and to allow individuals to prepare themselves for the long road ahead to get a license, because it is difficult for some people. And I think that we'll be able to work with them in incubators or educational circles and be able to provide better access and equity throughout the city. Yes.
And Council President Waterman.
I have to abstain, but one thing I do want to say is though, you can't tell people where to open up a business. That's one thing I want to make clear. And because this is something that affects the Black and brown community, I think we need to do all we can to make it possible for them to start this business. You know, and in the caucus on Monday, I brought up the concern that maybe the EDC can start creating work incubators for small Black and brown businesses to be a part of this. Because the truth is, when you start getting into the finances of this business, it's very expensive. And so for people who don't have from the beginning, and you're saying you're trying to help them, I can't see how you helping them with a business that at least start with at least 250,000. I can't see it. So I have to abstain, but I think there have to be a better mechanism in place for us to make sure we can help the Black and brown community be a part of this business.
So City Ordinance 22-094 is defeated 161, with Councilmember DeGise voting yes, and Council President Waterman abstaining, and Councilperson Rivera absent. Okay, moving on to our public speaking portion of the meeting. First speaker, 5.1, Laverne Webb, Washington.
Hi. I just gave out 100 turkeys on Sunday, 300 coats. On Saturday, I'll be up at your house giving out some turkeys and 100 coats, so I need to talk to you. And about this weed, gotta do better. Ain't a Black and brown owner of one of them smoke shops yet. They might got some working in them, but not one of them own a smoke shop. Not one. We gotta do better focus, because our babies are smoking this stuff and we don't know what it's gonna do to their brain. This weed ain't the weed of yesterday. This is a totally new thing out here. And you people that sit up there, you got better control of what's going on out here. I'm out here every day in these streets. I'm 74. If 500 young men don't call me mama or auntie or whatever, they do respect me because I respect them. And I try to talk to them. And I try to tell them that ain't the way. We are being used by the government, who's really gonna make the money off of this stuff, than a small man. We gotta rethink and we gotta educate. We need to make sure that this stuff is really educated to the community, because down the line, We don't know what's gonna happen 5 or 10 years from now with these young people and with their brain. Bad enough, the mental illness that we have out here today. And a lot of this mental illness come from parents that had subsidy problems or whatever. We need to focus and we need to do better because our babies are catching hell out here. And I'm here to work to help because like I said, I think my people that supported me, like Garini Pullman, Lou Mung, Attorney Chuck Harrington, I gave out a lot of stuff. I don't get grant money for what I do. Summer programs and stuff that I do, back to school, I get out here with developers, lawyers for the developers to make sure that they put back out here in our community. And I thank you, and you got my support whatever way you need me. Thank you. Have a blessed one.
Good night, Laverne.
Thank you.
Gentleman was leaving work and let me in the back. The side for the handicap is not working, and somebody can let me out the back door, I appreciate it. Because there's no security back there.
Okay, it's right there.
There he is. Thank you, Laverne. Okay, our next speaker, 5.2, Esther Whitner. Not here. Next speaker, thank you, Councilperson Gilmore. Next speaker, 5.3, Amit Kumar Patel. Patel? No? Next speaker, Jean Daly. She told me she couldn't come tonight. Next speaker, Kevin Weller. Okay, Kevin, whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weller, the elected president of the Portside Towers East Tenant Association. I'm here to bring attention to the non-enforcement of Jersey City's rent control ordinance. Thank you, Councilman Solomon and Rivera, for your support and efforts, and thank you, Councilman Gilmore, for your inspiring speech at Portside Towers about the injustice of rent control non-enforcement and for inviting me to speak here. Thank you to the tenants who are willing to fight until Jersey City enforces the law. Thank you to the newly homeless Jersey City residents who are forced out of their homes because of illegal increases, but still have the will to fight. Thank you to the national and local press for being here and for tuning in remotely. A transcript of my presentation has been made available to each of your outlets, so you may focus your attention now on those who have the power to act on the information I'm about to share. Jersey City is not enforcing rent control. Per Jersey City Ordinance Chapter 3, Section 78B, the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations shall administer and enforce the rent control ordinance. Section 6C of that ordinance must be enforced because it is the only way a landlord can be exempt from rent control. It says, this exemption applies only where an owner complies with all requirements contained in the New Jersey statute, including filing with the municipal construction official required by Section 84.4 of that statute. What is that requirement? Quote, the owner claiming an exemption from a rent control ordinance pursuant to this act shall file with the municipal construction official at least 30 days prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the newly constructed multiple dwelling. Now, here is a quote from the determination letter from Jersey City's Rent Control Enforcement Authority. Quote, no letter to the construction code official in connection with the requested exemption from rent control for 155 Washington has been located, end quote. No filing, no exemption. In the history of New Jersey, no municipality with rent control ordinances has ever allowed an exemption to rent control when there was no timely claim filed. Hoboken, March 2022, 801 Madison, no filing, no exemption. Hoboken, July 2022, the Rivington, Mayor Bala determined no filing, no exemption. Union City, Willow Ridge, their rent leveling board issued a unanimous decision, no filing, no exemption. The New Jersey Superior Court upheld that unanimous decision, no filing, no exemption. The New Jersey Appellate Court upheld that unanimous rent leveling board decision and the lower court decision, no filing, no exemption. Why is the Rent Control Enforcement Authority for Jersey City trying to be the first in the history of New Jersey to allow illegal rents despite their peers?
Thank you, Kevin.
The ordinance,
Thank you, Kevin. Time is up.
last line?
Time is up.
Okay. Follow the law, no filing, no exemption.
Next speaker, 5.6, Michelle Hirsch.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Michelle Hirsch, and I'm the elected president of the Portside Tower West Tenant Association. And just like 155 Washington Street, my building at 100 Warren has never met the required filing of the Jersey City ordinance. No filing, no exemption. Over 150 tenants petitioned the city once 30 to 45% rent increases forced us to find out if these increases were legal. One such tenant emailed Jersey City's Rent Control Enforcement Authority and received the following determination on May 18th. Quote, according to the records in this office at this time, this building is subject to rent control. I am waiting for updated rent information in connection with the 2022 landlord registration statement. The annual landlord registration statement that was referred to in that email, signed by our landlord in February of 2022, certified under penalty that my building is subject to rent control. And that was in complete alignment with the landlord tenant office's May 18th determination email. But just 1 month later, on June 20th, I received an email from my landlord stating, quote, so I did have another chance to talk with our legal team, and they reiterated that we are exempt and we are working with the city to clear up any confusion that may exist around our exemption status. I ask you, my elected representatives, what does it mean when Equity Residential's legal team is working with the city? What are people like us, your constituents, supposed to think? What are we supposed to believe that means? Especially when somehow 4 months later, the Rent Control Authority changed the determination from my building. In the new September determination letter, the administrator admitted 100 Warren Street did not meet the filing requirement, but she nonetheless opted to allow an exemption for the maximum allowable period of time, ignoring the law. A quote from the determination, Portside was not the owner at the time the CO for 100 Warren was issued in August 1992, and evidently the owner at that time did not apply for the exemption. End quote. No filing, no exemption. On September 19th, the administrator distributed her determination. On November 9th, she issued a supplement to that determination in response to our request for clarification. Clearly, the city has the authority to clarify its position.
Thank you, Michelle. Your time is up. Next speaker, 5.7, Rodney Moorweiser. Rodney? Not here. Next speaker, 5.8, Ralph Sanini. Ralph? Not here. 5.9, Carissa Fry. Carissa? Next speaker, 5.10, Hendeka Muslim.
Dr. Muslim. I just sent you all the link to the video where people literally threw bricks through my window and the police came and said, I must have damaged my own house. This has been going on since 2018. These hate crimes have been ignored. On August 25th of this year, I was involuntarily committed with no previous mental health history, and I was raped at the hospital, Jersey City Medical Center. They tied me down, arms and legs, raped me, 7 men, drugged me, and then did a teletype psychiatric evaluation and diagnosed me with unspecified schizophrenia, which I am almost 50 years old and I do not have. I reported this to the police. Conveniently enough, they have no cameras, even though there's a police officer there, somebody from JCPD who I begged for help, who literally turned his back on me. I was there for a week until they finally realized I do not have any mental health history. I was raped in a mental health institution. I've been pleading for these hate crimes to be investigated since 2018, Tanya Parker, Jersey Journal. Because she was never faced any consequences, they've been emboldened, and the police have turned a blind eye and actually helped them. This goes back to the neighbor selling weed out of his home. They park in front of my driveway. By the way, I also applied for a handicap for my mom. They kept denying it to get a dedicated space. They keep writing this off as a driveway issue when I've been physically attacked and raped. I don't know what else it will take for me to get help. So you tell me, I've reported it again, Sergeant Hans, conveniently there's no video. There's supposedly the hospital's supposed to have video everywhere. There's supposed to be body cam video. Conveniently there's no video. There were at least 7 men. I identified them by appearance. What's going to be done? That's an actual question that I want a response to. Thank you.
Okay, your next speaker, 5.11, Alexandra Forgiato.
So no response.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
Sorry, just to,
We couldn't respond to that.
yeah, we can't respond
We
directly,
can't,
but
but you let me, we couldn't respond to that, okay? We can talk to you on the side because what you're saying is situations that happen in the hospital. We're not responsible of the hospital, but we can definitely talk to you on the side to see exactly what we can do. That's why we can't say anything public, okay?
Thank you. I'm sorry, I thought she was done. Speaker 5.11, Alexandria.
Good evening, council members. Nice to see your faces again. My name is Alexandra Fajardo. I've touched upon IXP last time here. Just wanted to turn my attention strictly to the dispatch room and our directors. I feel all the facts needed to be presented to you, as I fear you may not have them to make the educated decision for yourselves in the city. In 2015, the same problem arose with privatization and again in 2018. The interesting part about 2018 is that there was an appearance of conflict of interest with the director, Shea himself, and IXP in 2018. At the time, the company's senior VP was Adam Safier, son of Howard Safier, a former New York Police Department commissioner who led the search to hire Shea in 2013. Lawrence D. Consalvos, who was president of IXP at the time, stated it was a quote unquote matter of coincidence Shea was looking to bring IXP into Jersey City. My understanding when this went public, the talks of privatization went away. Which brings me to Councilman Gilmore. Thank you on your comment yesterday about the conflict of interest at the caucus meeting. Council members, please keep that in mind when voting today. As far as Director Shea speaking on the supervisors in the room, he had mentioned in the caucus meeting when supervisors refuse to do a job that if someone is not there, just wanted to clarify on that statement. We actually only have 1 supervisor on the fire dispatch side. The city took advantage of all of their acting supervisors and refused to honor our union contracts and make promotions after 6 months of being in the acting capacity. I myself was in the position for 2 years, and once that 6-month milestone hit, I reached out to all the proper channels for 1.5 years and received the runaround. I was finally told it was on Director Moody's desk waiting to be signed off on, and it never was. I myself, along with several other fire and police acting supervisors, chose to step down from the acting position due to this. I was shocked to hear Director Shea mentioning the changing of technology with our move to the new building, as the city spent millions on a brand new CAD system that is only 2 years old. It is constantly being worked on to help coincide with fire and police dispatch. I was also surprised to hear he believes the fire and police CAD does not talk to each other when in fact it does. I believe this problem with dispatch isn't the employees and the technology. It is the lack of knowledge and transparency between the higher ups in the dispatch room. There is an absolute disconnect. I do agree that training should be implemented, as I've been asking for this for years and it has fallen on deaf ears. To my understanding, the contract is over $200,000. In 2018, IXP conducted a review for $38,000. I'm sure Director Baker would be able to provide this.
Thank you.
Review upon request.
Thank you. Next speaker, 5.12, Isaac Adams.
Hello, Council.
Hello?
My name is Isaac Adams. I'm a longstanding community representative. I've been in Jersey City all of my life. I have close ties to Jersey City. Been here 50 plus years. I'm here to express concerns about some businesses within close proximity of each other, specifically dispensaries. I live directly behind City Hall, 270 Marin Boulevard, and I have other neighbors who have expressed concerns about multiple businesses opening within close proximity of each other on the plaza, pedestrian plaza there, specifically on Newark Avenue. From what I understand, the ordinance, to be specific, which is 21-053, Section C, subsection B, it states that the main entrance door of any Class 5 cannabis establishment, including micro businesses, must be separated by at least 600 feet. The concern is one specific operation opening up, to be specific, 1020, which is on tonight's agenda, appears to be within 350 feet of another dispensary. The concern is, number one, from what we understand, it's a retail organization operation, which the license is specifically supposed to be micro businesses. So we'd like to just make sure that the city, we don't have any problem with the city prospering. That's Jersey City's, that's our logo. And we love to see Jersey City prosper, but we'd like to see these businesses operate by the rules. The plaza is a busy place. It's a place that we'd like to keep safe. And I think keeping the businesses properly distanced according to the ordinance. We'd like to see the city dot their I's and cross their T's on this. So we'd like to know if there's a possibility that maybe 1020, which is on the agenda today, have some type of waiver to operate within less than 600 feet. We understand that I've heard that something that I didn't already know, that they were able to operate 2 micro businesses within the 1 block radius. 2 of them could operate. From what we understand, they're supposed to be micro.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Your time is up.
This is a retail operation. I have someone else who would like to add on to what I was just saying as well.
Ron, could you?
Next.
Isaac.
Yes.
In the chambers, there's a clock. You seen that clock? It was timing you for 3 minutes during public speaking time. When that time is up, the bell goes off and then you have to stop.
Okay.
And no one else can come until their name is called. That's the way it's done, okay? Well, for your concern, I know this is Councilman Ward E. Solomon. He's here, and he will speak to you concerning the issue, okay? Because that's his ward, all right? But that's how it's done. That's why.
Okay, I appreciate the time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Our next speaker, 5.13, Jonathan Davis.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Just going to finish up what Alexandra Fajardo was trying to say. In 2018, IXP conducted a review for $38,000. I'm sure Director Baker would be able to provide this review upon request. The few areas of concern from the director that mentioned hold merit can all be addressed and fixed internally without an outside vendor if we all work together. I can literally give you the assessment right here, right now for free. The answer is yes, we're going to need new technology and they're going to be asking you for millions. As far as staffing goes, stop hiring 6 people at a time. Between background checks and people failing tests, that cuts it right there, half, 3 people. And then once they find out how much money we make, we lose even more. As far as training goes, this unicorn system is a perfect example. They gave us the system and said, good luck. I've been begging for training on this new unicorn system, and it falls on deaf ears. The same thing with our training with the CAD system. They gave us 1 hour of training for a whole new CAD system. And within that hour, 15 minutes, the guy left because we had too many questions. People in charge should not be in charge if they do not know how to do the job. Any director, you can sit them in that room and they will not be able to do it. That's all I have to say. This needs to be fixed. Come to the dispatch center. We will help you and we will all do it for free.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker, 5.14, Santo Della Monica.
Evening. Gentle Della Monica, President of Local 245. My first question is for John Metz, Metro, VA. Where's my traffic guard's contract? Why ain't in front of the city council?
Okay,
That's the
you
first
know
thing.
what? We don't want no
Hold on.
noise, all right? Let them talk.
When are they going to privatize the city council? You're looking to privatize the police communication center? You're looking to privatize the parks? You want to throw $1 million to a vendor when you can hire 40 guys to work the parks and you have us all year long. I can't wait for the next disaster to hit Jersey City, that you need the parks, you need the forestry, you're going to need everybody at DPW to come out and free up the city like we did in Sandy with the chainsaws. But in the interim, you just want to keep giving jobs to a private contractor. When you guys did the infrastructure, I told you, why didn't you speak to the city unions? We could tell you what's happening. Now you're top heavy. You got no Indians below that. We need to hire personnel. You need to stop picking on the police communication center by trying to say there's something wrong. I'm going to tell you what's wrong is your directors that are wrong. If you don't know how to direct the job to get the job done perfectly, then hire somebody to do it. It's beyond me why you're not hiring veterans that came out of the military to perform this job. Any one of you that would sit in front of that screen for 2 hours listening to all the calls and all the 911 calls, you're going to need to see a psychiatrist. Why don't we have one on site for them to get a break, walk away from that camera, and to go in and talk about what's happening? But instead, let's keep the numbers down. Let's burn these people out, that they got to work around the clock. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys can't go home unless you're private, physically relieved by another person.
Santos, you have to address us. You know they couldn't talk back and forth. You
Yeah,
have to
okay, I'll
address
talk to them later. That's not
All
a
right.
problem.
Okay.
But I still want to know with my guard's contract, 5 months, and it's still not in front of the city council. That really makes me angry. And the East District being moved, money spent to move the East District near the Holland Tunnel, near Hoboken, when the police say to the constituents, oh, you have to go to the clock ain't even working, is it? That's nice. You have to go to the precinct to do the report. Now you're going from downtown all the way to almost to Hoboken to do a report, a civilian. The police should be right there.
There you go.
Now I got to shut up, right?
Thank you, Santo.
That's
Where's my
it.
contract? Put it in front of the city council.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Santos.
Council President, can I just?
Go ahead,
Just
go
the
ahead, James.
administration, I think at a prior caucus, you had said that it was coming. It just.
Correct.
So Councilman, 10.34 is an item that we have to get through in order to solidify that contract. Yeah, so the language in our existing handbook and negotiated doesn't specify the state terms of part-time and full-time.
Okay.
So that's what this resolution does tonight, and then we could bring.
Yeah, you can bring the
contract to the
contract,
front.
okay. Give us another 2 weeks. Okay, Santos.
Okay, our next speaker, 5.15, Antoinette Chess. Not here.
Ms. Jess here.
Okay, next speaker, 5.16, Rosalie Narciso. Not here. Thank you. Next speaker, Philip Carrington.
Council President, my members of the City Council, and to the moderator of record, Gallagher. My name is Phil Carrington. My continued request is to have Director of Cultural Affairs Christine O'Donnell being arrested or fired. Well, she's in violation of Ethics Code 33-7A. And that code basically says that no officer or member of the city have a right to be involved in an organization or any business that's in conflict of her duties. I request to have a permit, and I got a permit and all the license to have a festival for the Caribbean on July 23rd. And then it was mysteriously canceled. I asked a simple question, not a lot of talking, simple question. What was the basis, or give me the purpose for the cancellation? There's none. If you're enforcing the law, everything has to be backed by law. There's no law that done that as of yet. I've been here time and time again, it has been ignored. The conflict of interest is just this. On that same day, July 23rd, 2022, from 12 p.m. on, Christine O'Donnell was the Grand Marshal of another festival that on that same day, the same time, same hours. So it was advantageous for her to cancel my event to have more human bodies in the street for her event. It is just that simple. It cannot take nobody that long to answer a simple question of law. If you get a speeding ticket, the police will give you the reason why you got the ticket. It's based upon law. But this is based upon corruption. So Christine O'Donnell needs to go to jail or be fired. And of course, William O'Donnell, he also needs to be suspended. But I'm quite sure that y'all are team players and you're not going to address or acquiesce to my request. And so, as of today, I wrote a letter to the Hudson County prosecutor and the Attorney General. I have a copy of the letter here. I'm not trusting many people, so I'm not going to give you all a copy. I might give Gilmore, only because I've spoken to you all time and time again, and no one answered the question. I don't want a whole lot of data. Simple question, what was the purpose for the rejection? You cannot have a license issued by the city after I pass all the requirement, pay all of the insurance fee and the bond fee and every other kind of fee, got the license, tried to operate the business based upon the license, and then I was denied, chased after by the police like I'm a common criminal. And then asked a simple question, what was the basis? There's no answer. I wrote a letter to the mayor, no answer. And to many members of the city council and the law division, there's no answer. That's all right. You can continue to be silent. I guarantee you, you're not gonna be silent all the time.
Thank you, Phil.
You know, Phil, I want to just correct something here, because sometimes when we are on, when people see us, they think we don't do anything and what you're saying is all true, but it's not. Because I followed the emails. I know Councilwoman Ridley answered your question. You don't like the answer that she gave, but she answered your question. So stop saying, stop it. Stop saying we're not answering you. We did answer you. We told you what they told us, why they refused you. Don't say we didn't, because people think that we ignored and we're not. So I'm not going to go back and forth with you, but I have the emails. Councilwoman Wrigley was on it. Even Councilman Gilmore was on those emails. So stop saying that. Now, you don't like what they said. I can understand that, because sometimes we don't like what people say. I can understand that, but just don't say we ignored you, because that's not true.
With all due respect, that's incorrect. I just asked for a simple question. I brought it down to its lowest common denominator and asked a simple question.
That's it, Phil. That's it.
Your time is up, Phil.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. Our next speaker, 5.18, Karen Van Open.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here again to talk about the traffic issues around schools, the fact that we don't have enough traffic guards. Today, again, I hear these people, contract is not yet running. I hope it's true that in 2 weeks' time, this is finally happening. I hear from those people that they can give you some answers, but you're willing to pay $200,000 to somebody else. I mean, it's the reason all of this is hard is because I just got the tax bill.
Yeah.
And it's quite high. And if it doesn't even include having a good system to call when you need help or having traffic guards, that doesn't sit right. So please do something that there is more guards. I asked how many guards there are. I asked for a list, as in how many are there, how many are we missing? That seems to be something that's very hard to get. I just asked the union, Mr. Santos, and he said there's probably 75 spots open. That's a lot of open spots. And hopefully, we're going to do something to not only get people, but make sure that these people get paid and have insurance, because that's the only way you're going to have people to do a job that entails 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. So pretty much you have to stay around your house the whole day, right? It might be half time, but you got to be present. So it's something to really look into, please. That it's the safety of the children, the safety of everybody that has to cross the street in the morning when it's so busy. Please don't neglect this. Thank you.
Our next speaker, 5.19, Michael Mandrigal.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Michael Madrigal. I'm a resident of Jersey City and an employee of the Public Safety Communication Center. I've worked as a fire dispatcher for over 3 years now, learning the ins and outs of the entire fire service, constantly improving with every call. The Jersey City Fire Department is the largest department in the state. I just wanted to put that on the record. The recent comments of the Public Safety Department's director indicated that police and fire dispatchers do not have the technological means to communicate with each other. This couldn't be further from the truth. This December marks 2 years since the Communication Center upgraded the entire 911 dispatching software, commonly referred to as Computer-Aided Dispatch, or the CAD. Over the last 2 years, working on my own accord and working out of title, I have worked side by side with the CAD vendor and other personnel within the Public Safety Department to continually improve the CAD to ensure it performs perfectly and as expected. Although my work on the CAD relates with enhancing the fire dispatch side, recent updates have improved and benefited the entire radio room, not just fire. This allows all of us working at Communication Center to effectively and efficiently communicate with each other. Every 911 operator, police and fire dispatcher can view every call and incident that is ongoing within the city, make notes on these calls for service, and provide real-time updates to units in the field. These features are especially utilized when a large-scale incident involves both a police and fire department response. We can view each other's notes and see each other's units. The director also spoke upon a possible merger of all aspects within the radio room, including 911, police and fire dispatch. Any merger of this magnitude would be detrimental to all public safety operations.
As I explained before, the fire service is vastly complex and is on the other end of the spectrum when you compare it to law enforcement. The two public safety services are separated for a reason. Throughout the JCFD and the JCPD's history, the respective dispatchers have always remained separated. I implore all city council members to look into other large communication departments across the country and more specifically look in our local backyard. Police and fire agencies like Hoboken, Newark, FDNY, NYPD, North Hudson Fire, including Union City, Weehawken, Guttenberg, North Bergen, and West New York, just to name a few. These agencies are separated for a reason. Separate police and fire communications are essential in these municipalities, including Jersey City. Please keep these comments in mind when voting tonight on Agenda 1033, 22-812. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our last speaker, 5.20, Paul Tamborelli.
Good evening, Council President, members of the City Council. My name is Paul Tamborelli. I am currently serving as the Chief Communication Officer of the Public Safety Communications Center. I've worked for the City of Jersey City for 22 years. I began as a 911 operator, and through my civil service tests and promotions, I now serve as the Chief Communication Officer. Communications Center is staffed by civilian employees who receive training and are certified as public safety emergency telecommunicators, which include 911 operators in both police and fire dispatches. These employees work 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We have many dedicated employees who for years have forfeited time with their families and friends. They have worked holidays rather than spending time with their own children on Christmas morning and every other holiday that most civilian employees are home celebrating and enjoying their holidays off. These employees come into work on an 8-hour shift and on many occasions wind up being stuck working for 16 to 20 hours. While working these exhausting hours, they listen to people who are dealing with tragedy, the loss of a child, or other loved ones. We have had operators on the phone with callers who felt suicidal, and while the operator was listening, heard them pull the trigger of a gun and kill themselves. At times, our dispatchers have dealt with severely injured firefighters and police officers. At times where there have been fatalities that even occurred, but they continue to do their job, overseeing the first responders and assisting all those in need. These employees have also dealt with the fact that Director of Department of Public Safety wants them all out of their jobs by privatizing the Public Safety Communications Center. This is his third attempt, first in 2015, then in 2018, and again today. As every one of you are well aware, there have been issues with the 911 center, but I can assure you that these employees are not to blame, but the real culprit is the management currently in place. In my 22 years, I have worked under several managers, and none have intentionally allowed the understaffing as has been allowed under the current management, which has allowed staffing to fall as short as 2 911 operators just occurred 2 weekends ago. The State Office of Emergency Telecommunications has standards in place regarding staffing, training, equipment, and unfortunately, our management has allowed or possibly even has caused.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our public speakers. We are now moving on to the rest of the agenda items, petitions and communications. Any questions or comments on items 6.1 through 6.13? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on Office Communications 7.1? There are no reported directors, so moving on right to our claims and addendums number 1 and number 2. So again, council members are going to be taking a vote on claims and addendums number 1 and number 2. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary. Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore said aye. Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye.
Get E and F, we're together now.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Claims and addendums number 1 and number 2 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. Okay, on to our resolutions. Council members are going to be taking a vote on items 10.1 through 10.10. Again, that's items 10.1 through 10.10. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Bajano.
10.8, I brought it up the other night. The Armory should not be charging us to use their facilities. They have quite a bit of land in Jersey City. We do them quite a few favors, and the military should should not be charging us to use their, have recreational facilities there. I vote no.
You're voting no on 10.8, and
what was the up to?
we're going to 10.10.
And no, Resolution City, and no on 10.10.
So you're voting no on 10.8?
10.10, spend $314,000 on 3.10, and at this point, with the problems we're having with taxes and everything like that, people not getting proper salaries, I think we shouldn't be doing that. A lot of money being thrown out there.
So you're voting aye on the rest, but voting no on 10.8 and 10.10, correct? Thank you. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Gilmore.
I'm gonna vote, aye for all. 10.8 is becoming problematic. I worked at Recreation. At one point, the amount to use the facility was hovering around 100, and now it's over 100. So at the very least, they should be giving us a fair deal or some type of discount. They're essentially charging the city what they charge me to do an event. So at some point, they have to do a discount. We've pretty much built the entity. I don't even know how it's not ours. But I do understand the importances of our kids being able to participate in activities, the track, and the relationships with the Board of Ed that let us use the gyms. So I understand the need to have it, but there needs to be something done with respect to that contract. So I'll vote aye for all.
Can I?
Thank you.
Can I change my vote to no for 10.8, actually? I'm going to change it.
Ken.
Yeah.
So you're voting no on 10.8 and aye on all the rest, Councilperson Saleh?
Yep.
Okay. Councilperson DeJeece.
Aye on all.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye on all.
Okay, if you can just allow me to recap. Items 10.1 through 10.7 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. Item 10.8 is approved 6-2 with Council members Bajano and Saleh voting no. Item 10.9 is approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. And item 10.10 is approved 7-1 with Councilperson Bajano voting no and Councilperson Rivera absent. Okay, on to our next set of resolutions. We're going from items 10.11 through 10.20, with the exception of 10.13, which has been withdrawn. BA?
That's correct. Due to the council's questions and not providing ample information, we'll regroup, put a presentation together, and fulfill the questions of the council.
Thank you. So again, council members, we're taking a vote on items 10.11 through 10.20 with the exception of 10.13, which has been withdrawn. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Bajano.
No on 10.13, no on 10.
10.13 has been withdrawn.
All right.
Still want to vote no. They should bring it back.
And Councilperson Bajano, just bring the mic a little closer to you, because I'm having a hard time hearing you.
All right, 10.18, no. And also, what did you say, up to 10.20?
Yes.
No.
So you're voting no on 10.18 and 10.20. correct?
Yes.
And aye on all the rest?
Yes.
Okay, Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye for all, and then just two notes. Thank you to the Division of Affordable Housing on 1012. That was a very well put together document. And then on 1020, I did speak to the dispensary owners. They did meet with the neighborhood, but it was roughly a year ago. But they promised to have another meeting in the next couple of weeks. So we're confirmed, and we've introduced them to the neighborhood association. And then related to the question on distances, in the ordinance, there's a section, separation distances and location maximums, that goes through it. And then within both 800 feet of a pass station, and then in the neighborhood commercial district, the city rules are that you can have no more than 2 establishments on the same block, and I believe one of them has to be a micro business, and that is adjudicated by the zoning, I believe it's zoning or planning board. So these businesses can't get to the cannabis control board or then to the council unless they've been approved at that level to tell us that they're abiding by these location separation distances. And so, you know, moving forward, obviously, once a business gets their approvals, then another business coming afterward can't, as long as they have to be permitted under these rules. Outside of neighborhood commercial zones and near pass stations, then you have the 600-foot rule, which was referenced earlier. So with that, I'll vote aye for all.
Thank you. Councilperson Gilmore.
I vote aye for all.
Councilperson DeGise.
I don't know.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Okay, if you would just allow me to recap. Give me one moment. Okay, items 10.11 through 10.12 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. Item 10.13, which has been withdrawn. Items 10.14 through 10.17 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. Item 10.18 is approved 7-1 with Councilperson Baggiano voting no and Councilperson Rivera absent. Item 10.19 is approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. And item 10.20 is approved 7-1 with Councilperson Baggiano voting no and Councilperson Rivera absent. On to our next set of resolutions. We're going from items 10.21 through 10.28.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
Before we do that, I do want to, well, actually, I want a motion to table 22. I was waiting actually for legal to get back to me. I didn't have an opportunity to meet with, I guess, Mr. Kenny between Monday and today. And the reason why is because, like I said, these projects are being grouped together and they all have different affordability expiration dates and they're being grouped together. I really would like some time just, for one, the residents haven't even been notified of this change, and that's one of the prereqs in here. And also, the developer has 90 days, at least 90 days to submit to the city for notice of sale. And the notice of sale is not going to transpire until, I believe, May. So, I mean, we have more than enough time, but I just want to make sure we do this right, especially with us being the highest rent city in the nation. And also, I want to see if there's an opportunity for the individuals who resided in these affordable homes for the last 30 years, if there's an opportunity for them to actually be able to purchase the property, seeing that this developer is going to sell them. So with all that being said, I do want a motion to table that, to have more dialogue, just to make sure we're doing things right and we're doing right by people. Because again, people have been living in these establishments for 30 years.
Okay, so Councilman Gilmore has a motion to withdraw item 10.22, resolution 22-801. He made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Second by Council President Waterman. On the motion to withdraw item 10.22, resolution 22-801, from the agenda, Councilperson Ridley.
I'm going to vote aye to table. I tabled this at, I think, the last meeting or the meeting before that. We did do some research, but I kind of agree with Councilman Gilmore that there are still some concerns and questions that are unanswered with regards to these properties. One parcel is in Ward A and the other two are in Ward F. I'd like for the law department to also let us know that whether or not we are putting ourselves, I guess, at risk by holding up this sale. But I'm going to vote yes to table.
Okay, so we just want to make sure we're using the correct language. When we table something, that's usually an ordinance. When we're looking to remove something like a resolution, it's always withdraw. So we're going to withdraw, making a motion to withdraw. Not trying to pick on you, Councilperson Ridley. I just want to make sure we're all using the same language and on the same page.
No problem. Take it off. That's what I want to do.
That's all.
Narrow it down.
Okay,
Take it
motion to
off.
take it off.
right.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 to withdraw item 10.22, resolution 22-801 from the agenda with Councilperson Rivera absent. Okay, so with that being said, council members, I'm going to be taking a vote on items 10.21 through 10.28 with the exception of 10.22, which just has been withdrawn. Councilperson Ridley.
To 28, correct?
Yes.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
No on 10.21, aye on the rest.
Thank you. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore. 10.21 through 10.28, with the exception of 10.22, which just has been withdrawn.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
If you would just allow me to recap, item 10.21 is approved 7-1, with Councilperson Baggiano voting no and Councilperson Rivera absent. Items 10.22 was withdrawn. Items 10.23 and through 10.28 are approved 8-0, with Councilperson Rivera absent. And on to the balance of our resolutions. Council members, I'm going to be taking a vote on items 10.29 through 10.34. Again, that's the balance of the resolutions, 10.29 through 10.34. Councilperson Ridley.
On 10.31, it seems like every time we get a resolution for Liberty Humane, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of complaints. And we had a discussion at the last meeting, at the caucus meeting, about what services they were providing and what they don't provide, what used to be provided in the city and what's not provided now. So I think that maybe there are things that Liberty Humane does well, and maybe we should pay them for those things. But based on the discussion at caucus, it seems like the needs of the city aren't being met, which is not necessarily Liberty Humane's fault. Maybe they don't render those services that we need. So I think that we need to kind of go back to the drawing board before we spend all this money and decide whether we need to find a new service or whether we need to bring this back in-house. So I'm going to vote no on 1031. 1033, I have visited the center, the dispatch center. I was actually there this summer and sat with some of our operators and listened on to some calls. It is a tough job. We thank you for the job that you do because everybody cannot do it. And a lot of people do not want to do that job. I think that we do need to figure out what the issues are there, but I understand that there's still a lot of back and forth and a lot of controversy around, I guess, the company that we're using and whether it's a conflict of interest. So for now, on 1033, I'm going to vote no, and then I'll vote aye for all the rest. So no on 31 and 33, aye on all the rest.
Thank you. Councilperson Prinzary.
So, question to the law department with regard to 1031. If the contract were voted down tonight, would we be going month to month with Liberty Humane Society until they would be able to have a more specific conversation about some of the things that are and are not working, including going to possibly a year contract instead of 2-year contract?
If Liberty Humane would agree to go month to month.
Okay, but as a city, we are required to provide animal control service. So should they say no, then we would be without service.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I share some of my council colleagues' concern about Liberty Humane Society. I think maybe going to a year contract might have been the better way to go. And I also don't want the city to be in a situation where we have no contract with animal control and we are in need of services. I know that this is a contentious issue for a number of different reasons. So with that, for 1029 to 1032, I'll be voting yes. 1033 is really complicated. I have not been to dispatch since 2019. I will say that I have listened to the work that you all do on Scanner, and the work that you do is remarkable when you are not only getting information out to the people that need to respond appropriately, but also checking in to make sure that different units are where they're supposed to be and you have eyes on everyone. We're also responsible to the residents of the city who do have some legitimate complaints and concerns about the service as well. And we are responsible to them also to make sure that we are getting to the bottom of all of these issues across the system. I'm going to go ahead and vote yes for 1033 because I do think it merits study. I do think that we as a council will be involved in every single part of the process. I'm not in favor of privatizing this system. I think that having a different set of eyes on this may be helpful, and they may bear out exactly what you guys are saying are the issues, and that will justify every single thing that you guys are talking about with the issues within the system. So please know that this vote is not a judgment on the work that you guys do, and it is not a personal judgment either. I just really feel like something has to be looked at and something has to be done. And the way it's going currently over the last couple of years, there's no resolution there. So, but know that I will be working closely with you all. I'm happy to sit down and talk with you further as it relates to this and also understand from when they come back with the survey and the study, including the one that was done in 2018, because I would like to have fresh eyes again on that my own self. But know that we are here for you and work with you. We just really need to figure out what's going to be the best for you guys and our residents. So very long-winded way of saying aye for all.
So you're voting aye on all?
No on 1031.
On 10?
No, I'm sorry, aye for all, but 1031 I do. I'm sorry, now I've confused myself. I usually don't speak this long when we're doing resolutions. But for 1031, I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. I don't want to see the city in jeopardy of not having animal control, but I do really think that there's some serious issues there that do need to be rectified.
Yeah, and to Councilman Gilmore and Councilwoman Ridley, I just have Corporation Council reviewing if we could downgrade it to 1 year if it does continue to pass. So
that's
trying to
exactly
complete that term, but we'll confirm with the
So now I really do, yeah. Now I really do vote aye for all.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So you're now voting aye for all, right? As long as we can amend the the contract
it's
to
one,
1
and
year.
then I'll deal with it. So we'll amend it down to 1 year, and it'll have to be reflected upon in the agreement.
Yes.
Let me ask a question. When we go out to bid for this contract, the Humane Society contract, is there anyone else that bids on this contract?
Never.
That is our problem, right there. Because if they are the only one, our back is always against the wall, and we are getting constant complaints about the service that they're not giving. So I don't know how we're gonna fix this if they are the only ones. I don't know how. Maybe we need to just say no and figure how we have to handle it in-house like we did before.
It's a similar issue, Council President, with the sanitation. We've been exploring bringing that in-house as well.
So before I move on to the next council member, Councilperson Ridley, do you want to keep your vote as no, since we're looking to amend the resolution to 1 year? Or do you, not to put any pressure on you, and put you on the spot, but I just want to give you the opportunity before we continue to vote. Oh, okay. Well, she did say take it off, so I mean, you know.
I'm used to the pressure. I vote first. Yeah, I think that if we can reduce the time, we can reduce it to 1 year. I do totally understand that nobody else bids and we do need animal services, but I'm really asking for our health department to kind of look at maybe a dual service providing from the city and from Liberty Humane, because if there's things that they can't do, that the city can do, then we really need to look at that over this next year. So we're not at this same point again next year. So I'll change 10.31 to yes.
Okay. And you're still staying with 1033 no, correct?
Yes, Sean, I think she's, yes.
All right. Now, moving forward with Councilperson Bajano.
All right, 1030, we're going to spend $1.9 million. I think it's absolutely ridiculous after we just raised taxes and everything. So I'm voting no on 10.30. On 10.31, the Animal Humane Society, I voiced my opinions the other night. There has to be a lot of changes there because I've had a couple of experiences with them, and as an animal lover, I'm very disappointed in them. Now, let's get on to 1033. Radio room, the crossing guards, the parking authority. The radio room's short 40 people. The parking authority is short 46 people. The crossing guards, we're using cops every day on crossings, which is a shame. And the reason these three places are having problems is because people running it, not the people in the radio room, person who's in charge of all three of these units has let them go to heck over the last several years, and we have to change it. We just put 3 cops up in the parking authority, detectives, I think, and a deputy chief or sergeants, the deputy chief. Maybe we should put a deputy chief in the radio room, and we should start paying these people decent salary. That's another reason. People come and they go. They're being underpaid. And I worked for the police department for 36 years, and I've never seen these conditions in all 3 of these units in all 36 years I was on the Jersey City Police Department. Something has to be done. I know the answer. I've tried to get my point across, but nobody wants to listen. And the person that's in charge of these 3 units absolutely does not know anything about them. So on 1033, I vote no.
And the rest? Aye on the rest?
Yes, except, was it 10?
So you're voting no on 1030 and 1033.
And I honestly believe something has better be done, and we got to put somebody in charge that can straighten these 3 departments out and help these people, because as I said, all 3 of these departments affect the people, the public of Jersey City.
So Councilmember Bajano, just for my clarity, you're voting no on 10.30 and no on 10.33 and aye on all the rest,
Yes,
correct?
Yes, Sean, yes.
Thank you. Councilperson Saleh.
For 1031, I am going to vote aye, so long as it's a year-long contract. And next year, we need to see metrics as to what they actually did during the year, how much it's costing us, and we need something a little more in-depth. I also do want to voice my consternation over the fact that a resident of mine had a very horrible experience with Liberty Humane. Although that hasn't been my experience, but I want to give her voice. She's a single mother and her dog was unlicensed. Essentially, she was treated like a criminal and that they were going to fine her every day. And that shouldn't be the approach that we take as a city when it comes to unlicensed dogs. We should be trying to, you know, coax them into doing it and helping them schedule a vaccination date for their dog rather than treat them like criminals. And we should have a little more compassion, especially during these economic circumstances that we're all going through. With 1033, I feel like this is Halley's Comet that comes every few years. We had them, this IXP came in 2015 and now 2018, and we haven't even adopted the recommendations from the 2018 report that they gave us. Back then it was 38,000, right? And now it's 234,000. Like, that doesn't make economic sense to me. And, you know, Director Shea may be right. You know, we might save money if we privatized. I'm not saying he's wrong, but you see what we did with Liberty Humane Society, and now we're rushing back to try and find a solution because they're the only game in town and they got us over a barrel. And, you know, that's not what I want to do with the 911 dispatch center. You know, I visited the dispatch center twice in the last year, and they do incredible work there. They lost 2 of their coworkers to COVID because they had to come in every day while we were safe at home. And they just lost another person recently, I believe, to cancer. And these people are residents of Jersey City. They're longtime residents that live here, that have served here, served their community. They hear horrific calls every day that some of us like couldn't even imagine. I didn't even imagine it until I went in there, and I think I still need therapy from that one shift that I did with them. And I just feel like they're being set up for failure. I feel like 7 to 8 months to onboard someone, onboard a few people at the dispatch center. Maybe it's HR that's not doing their job, right? But why are we gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater unless they're totally irredeemable? If you fix everything else, if you get them new chairs, I sat in the chair and my legs went numb after an hour. Hand to God, like it was insane. And then they don't have coffee and they're supposed to be there 24/7. They don't have a coffee machine, like a simple Keurig. So I feel like we're running an Amazon warehouse and not a dispatch center. And that's, you know, that's the feeling I got when I was there. And yes, you know, maybe they put on a good show when I was there, but this is just like my observations are that there are so many systemic failures that have led to their failure, and it starts at the top. And it starts with the Director Shea, right? He does a fantastic job with police and fire, but parking or, you know, crossing guards or dispatch, everyone else is a redheaded stepchild. No offense to redheads. So I just, I think that we have to do everything in our power to make the dispatch center successful before we try to privatize or even do an analysis, which we did in 2018, which we didn't even fix the issues. Like, we just took our eye off the ball for 5 years or 4 years, and now we're like, oh, let's go revisit this and just, like, you know, throw this off our shoulders. Like, we don't need to have this responsibility, but it is an awesome responsibility, and the people of Jersey City deserve better, and $234,000 is too much. So with that, I vote no, and then aye for the rest.
No on 33 and aye on all the rest.
Yes.
Councilperson Solomon.
Sure. Vote yes on 1031 for Liberty Humane. They're the only operator. There's only one other operator in Hudson County, which has a very sordid backstory and history. I agree with many of the concerns raised, and I think a one-year contract provides us with a clear amount of time to work with the administration and the health department to clearly address the service issues we're having. If they aren't able to be addressed, then to come up with a plan to bring it back in-house, but I am hopeful that we'll be able to address them over time. For 1033, fundamentally, we have to do a better job as a city responding to 911 emergency calls. I've had multiple constituents call and not had their calls picked up, but ultimately that is, it starts from the top down and how we solve that problem. And as I was thinking about the IXP proposal here, the thing that I kept coming back to, something Councilman Gilmore brought up on Monday, which is ultimately they have a service that they're providing, and we can't bring them in to be an independent consultant to ask what the mistakes are and fix them if ultimately they have a clear financial goal in mind. And so from my perspective, what we need to do is have the in-depth analysis on how we fix all the problems that are happening, again, starting from the top down, assigning blame, the buck stops here, the buck stops at the top. But we can't kind of decide what we're doing in advance and then try to create the justification for it. I'm open to any idea to improve the problems that we're having, but I think we need a clear analysis presented to the council that has to come from an independent operator. So with that, I'll vote aye on all except for 1033, which is a no.
1033 is no?
Yep.
Thank you. Councilperson Gilmore.
I'm gonna vote aye on all except for, no, I'm gonna vote aye on all except for 33. I voiced my concerns earlier. I just think we need to do a better job in making sure we're doing everything within our capacity. And again, this is top down. People get paid good money to provide a service for us. So ultimately, I think the onus is on us to fix it. And I wasn't even privy that they did some type of analysis in 2018, and we haven't adopted or addressed anything they came to the conclusion with. That's even more problematic. So we can't give them another $200K. And Liberty Humane, you have 1 year. We hope you get it together. So I'll vote aye for 31 as well. And I'll vote no on 33.
Aye on all the rest?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilperson DeGise.
In regards to Liberty Humane, I believe that organization does profoundly care for animals and their treatment. But just like many other agencies and organizations, they are severely understaffed and overwhelmed. And I agree with the 1 year. I think that the city and maybe Health and Human Services can help with their volunteer connections and maybe a rubric of targets that they should be meeting for us. But I have my 12-year-old, 105-pound American Bulldog because of them. And when they rescued her, she was about 60 pounds, full of cigarette burns, bones, and they worked with her for months to get her adoptable. And that's because they truly do believe in that, and that's my Jersey girl. So I vote yes on 1031. In regards to 1033, I really appreciate everyone coming out and talking to us tonight, this being the first that I'm hearing of it, and was now looking into the resolution that you guys brought up. And thank you for the work that you do. My understanding, and my other council peers too, the understanding was this was an analysis on communication services, tech, and equipment, not on faults of personnel. That's how it was given to us, and that it would take that into an analysis and identify gaps that would deliver then trainings and workshops to address those and close those gaps. And I do understand the concerns of privatization, but we're not anywhere close to that point. That conversation was not given to any of us, and that would be up to the council. So it would have to go many, many more stages. So I want you to rest assured that I will vote yes on it, but not because I believe that you should be privatized, but I do believe that you should have the best services and equipment and technology to do your jobs. I did make a note to reach out to public safety to ask a little bit more about the analysis assessment. What exactly are they looking for? What questions? And I'd like to know if they don't already have it in there to fit in some questions on your social emotional health and on what you're dealing with and how we could do better there. But thank you very much for what you're doing. But I vote aye on 1033 as well.
So you're voting aye on all? Aye on all. Thank you. And Council President Waterman.
First, I would like to just thank the staff for coming out. I visited the station when I first took office, and I understood the work that you guys do. When 2013, when I first took office, y'all was short of staff then. And so now here we are in 2022, and that still is an issue. I don't see why we have to keep paying money, to be perfectly honest, to say that there's a problem. I think we really know what the problem is, to be perfect. Staffing is a problem, okay? Leadership is a problem. And sometime when you have those combinations, I guess leadership be trying to figure a way how they can handle the staff. But at this point, I just wish some of these directors just would handle the staff in the proper manner. And some of the staff would be respectful and do the job too. I don't want to pay 213. I don't want to do it. The reason why, because I'm a firm believer, and I say this at the budget hearing, if you pay the staff right, they will work. I know there's always issues with titles because of civil service and things like that. I think those are the things we should be really concentrating on how do we start getting these civil service titles changed so people can make a decent living, and how can we work with the unions so people can make a decent living, to be perfectly honest. I don't think we really need an analysis to figure all of this out. I just don't. I don't. And since the tax bill came out and we all feeling it, we all feeling this tax bill, I don't want to, at this time, spend money on nothing like that. I don't. So with that in mind, for 1033, I'm going to say no. Now, when it comes to 10.31, it's like a for me, to be perfectly honest, because Humane Society is the only one, and we've been having problems about 4 or 5 years now with them. I don't know what we can do to resolve this issue. I mean, when their contract came before, it was the same issue. So I don't know what we can do. I really don't know. They are the only people. They are the only people, and because we have to make sure that we are giving services to the residents, that's the only reason why I'm going to vote for this, because, you know, you want to make sure you have animal control, because you want to make sure animals are treated fairly, treated properly. That's the only reason. If not for that, I would vote no on that too. So with that in mind, Sean, I vote, you know, yes on that one, yes on all the rest, but 1033, no. I feel like just pay the people, get a new supervisor, to be perfectly honest, because y'all can't work together, and it's the truth. That's the problem. Let's be real. That's the problem. And let's see how we can make some of these departments function.
Okay. If I can just recap. So item 10.29 is approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. Item 10.30 is approved 7-1 with Councilperson Baggiano voting no and Councilperson Rivera absent. Item 10.31 and 32 are approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. Item 10.33 is defeated 2 with in affirmative and 6 against. 2 in the affirmative with Council members Prinzeri and Councilperson DeGise and Councilperson Rivera absent. So item 10.33 is defeated 2-6. And item 10.34 is approved 8-0 with Councilperson Rivera absent. With that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn at 8:06 p.m. Motion was made by Councilperson Saleh, seconded by Councilperson Prinzeri. On the motion to adjourn at 8:06 p.m., Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0 to adjourn at 8:06 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone. Remember, stay safe, and always remember that teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night.
I tell you.